Alright, welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to go over paths and the different options we get for creating those paths. Now, the paths are used for either drawing, maybe creating a logo, using it in editing portraits or something. And as the name suggests, it just creates random paths, not so random, paths that you choose. And the main tools you would use for paths is the pen tool, which is right here. It's even shaped like a pen. Once you click on it, the first thing you would want to change is go up here next to the pen tool icon. Open this. You have some options. It could either be a shape or a path. Now, shape is something we'll go over later, but for now we're going to stick with path. So make sure you're on this. If you were on shape, you get some different options, but we want path for now. Okay, so the first thing you would want to do is unlock your background. And the thing about paths is that it does not create a new layer. It will, as you can see, it doesn't let me create a new layer. I would have to create a layer myself, and then I'm able to make separate paths. What that means is that if I delete that and I'm on layer 0, I draw this path just by clicking around. And if I want it to be curved, we'll get to that later. Okay, let's say this is my shape. I'm going to close it off like this. Right click, come down to stroke path, use the brush, hit OK. Now the thing about this is that it's directly on my layer 0, so I can't really move it separately because it is glued on top of our background layer. So when we want to work with paths, we would want to create a new layer. Now if I did the same thing, let me draw a triangle, right click, stroke path, brush OK. Now because this is a separate layer, I can move just the shape. So make sure you always create new layers for your paths. And now we can see how it works. Again, I'm going to create my new path, go to the pen tool, make sure I'm on this option, path. And you have some options for the paths you create. You can either use it to create straight, sharp paths. So we got a straight line, sharp edges, sharp turns, right? But you have some other options. Let me stroke this so we can tell. Hit enter once you're finished. I'm going to create another layer. What if you wanted a curved path? There are other options in there, but if you click and then on your second one, click but don't let go. I did not let go of my click. Drag it to either side. You are curving that path. You can curve it however you like. Let's say we will do this. And then my next point, because we have the two handles, is also going to be curved. So if I click here, it's curved. So this is how I can create curved lines. But the third one, notice that it doesn't have the handle. It's going to be sharp. If I want it to be curved, and if you want to delete a line, you would just be on that point, hit backspace, and you delete that. Right, so if I want to make this curved as well, I would have to do the same thing I did first. So I made my first click, second click, I clicked on that. Make sure you're on the last click. First click, second click, drag. And now I have another curve. Let's stroke this path. Right click, stroke path, tool brush. Okay. So this is the pen tool. This is how it works. Now let's say I want to draw the moon. So let me create a new layer. First point, the moon has a curve here. So I'm going to try to be straight. My second point, click drag to create my curved side. And then if I continue clicking, it's going to look like this, but the moon has sharp points on both sides. Let me hit Ctrl Z to undo. In order for the moon to look like a moon, I need to have sharp points on either side. So I need to cut one of these handles, and I'm telling Photoshop to make the next path sharp and not curved. To do that, I'm going to be on my layer, make sure your path is still there and you're seeing these two handles. Hold down Alt on your keyboard, and then we're going to, you can see that I'm not holding the Alt right now. If I go over this, I'm getting this minus, but if I hold down Alt, I'm getting this pointy thing. Click on that point once, and now we got rid of the handle. So now the next point that I create is sharp, which is what we wanted. I hit Ctrl Z to undo. Now to make my curve, I just need to click and then drag it to make a curve here and not on the point. Then I could just close it off, although we have to do the same thing, cut the handle, I forgot to do that. Go on the point, hold down Alt, click once on the point, and then connect it with the first point, drag to make your moon. It's not looking perfect, but that's just how it is for now. We will have to use different paths to make a moon. Alright, right click, stroke path, brush. And this strokes path. Let me show you what fill path will look like. So again, right click, fill path. It will go with the foreground color. I guess we'll just use it. We can choose the background color. Let's just, well, not the background color. Let's make it black for now. Hit OK. Our path is now black. Hit enter once you're finished. And there is our crooked moon. Alright. So that was how the paths work. That's how the normal pen tool works. We have some other options for the pen tool. We have a freeform pen tool, which if you go on it, it's, let me create a new layer. This just allows me to freely create a shape and it will create those points for me. So if I'm trying to maybe draw the letter T, or maybe like the letter H, let's like just do a random thing, it created the points for me. But it's not quite straight because it was a free form selection. To convert the point, I can go with the curvature pen tool on the areas to make it, although I chose the wrong tool, curvature right here. Curvature pen tool, it's going to look like this and not the way it did before. I can select one of those tools and just make it straight, make it curved, maybe create a point in the middle, delete the previous point if I need to, and just adjust the smoothness to my liking. Again, you can delete the points that are not necessary. There are some that shouldn't be there. I'm just deleting those. And let me delete this as well. Okay, so the curvature, you should always remember the curvature is 4 curves. So if you want to create a sharp path, you should not be using the curvature tool, and you should be using the normal pen tool or the freeform pen tool. Okay, I'm just gonna keep it like this. Again, you can spend more time on it, and it's the same thing. You can right click, stroke path, brush. Now we have this. And before you let go, before you hit enter, you can, now that you're seeing how the stroke would look like, you can just drag and change the things. Let me undo the selection. You can drag and change the things because we still have the path. I'm gonna try to make it a little bit better. Let me delete this. Delete that. Delete any unnecessary. When you have too much points, your stroke becomes precise, meaning that there will be some sharp edges. So try to keep your points little when you're dealing with round shapes. Let me see, like this right here. I should make it, bring it closer, make it like that. Okay, I will just stop for now, and then I can just stroke path again, brush, and there is my edge. Hit enter once you're finished. Alright, that was our edge. Let me just move it away so we have space for the rest of the tutorial. And after we talked about the freeform tool, this is for when you have a specific shape and you cannot quite recreate that with the curvature pen tool or the regular pen tool or even with shapes. So you would use freeform for that purpose. And freeform is great if you have maybe a touch screen that you can use a screen pen with. The lines will be more precise compared to your regular mouse. And delete that. And then if we go right click on the pen tool again, we talked about the curvature tool. The difference is that once let me create a new layer, create points, I will just curve those points. I don't need to click and drag, it just curves it for me. And you can even create new points. Those points will be curved as well. It's pretty smooth. These are for certain shapes that require such curves. And here I can make it a little sharp. Now, if you wanted curve on one side and maybe sharp points, you can convert those points from curved to sharp. Right click on the pen tool. The last tool is convert point tool. So just click on that. Click once on those points. You can see that they're becoming sharp. I'm keeping the curve here, but I'm sharpening the points. And there is my sharp shape. Again, go with the curvature pen tool. Whatever point I create is also sharp, but it's not affecting this point. I'm not curving it anymore. The point is sharp forever. Now we have filled our shape. We still have the path. To get rid of it, you can hit enter, or if you want a similar path, let me drag the, oops, I have to use this tool right here. It's a path selection tool. Drag the path. Maybe I want a similar shape, so I will go on it, go to direct selection tool, and you can see these two handles. I can maybe change a few things if I need to. Do the same thing on different areas, or I could just go back with the pen tool and make some adjustments to create my second similar shape. Let me delete some of this, make something like this, and let's say I'm done. Again, right click, fill path, choose your color, opacity, blend mode. Okay, there is my second similar path. And I could just keep doing this. And once I'm done, I'll hit enter, and now the path is gone. And if you save a path, it would show up here. Right now we have work path, which is this guy, but if I wanted to save a path and maybe use it later on, I would save that selection and it would show up here. So let's see how that will look like. I'm just going to delete everything for now. Go on my first layer, bottom layer, not the background. Hold shift, click on the bottom layer. So first layer, hold shift, bottom layer, hit the trash can icon. Delete selected layers, yes, and they're gone. All right. So let's think of a shape that we can create that we're going to use a bunch of times. Let me see what we can create. Let's try to create maybe a triangle. I'm going to go with the normal pen tool. Just create 3 points, connect them. I have a triangle. Let's stroke path. Although I would hit make selection. If you want to feather it, you can do it. We don't want to select feathering. Now I have a selection made from that. And with this selection, I can apply certain effects, like maybe color it inside, and it will only work for the inside of my selection. And using the pen tool, we can select areas in photographs as well. Maybe I want to select someone's shirt. With the pen tool, I can do that, and I can convert my path to a selection as we see here for extra effects and more control. Okay, so if you want to save this shape for maybe later, you got to go in the paths panel. Right now we're in the layers. And just one thing to remember is that when you want to save a path, you got to first close the path. So If I don't have anything, nothing is going to show up in my paths panel. If we go in right now, we have our work path, which is this triangle. If you want a certain path to be saved for later, you would just go in the path panel, double click on the name, and just give it whatever name you want. Okay, hit OK once you're finished. And then it would be saved in the path panel where you can access it whatever you want for maybe a different image or shape. We got some options down here. Let's see, you can duplicate path as well if you need to. Triangle copy. Maybe delete a path, make a selection of that path. So if I go on my triangle, make selection. Again, if you want to feather the sides, that just means that it's going to make it smoother. Same thing with the soft round brush and the hard round brush, but we don't want that. Hit OK, and now we have a selection. Okay, I'm going to undo that, and we still have our path. So if I click on that, I now have a path again. I'm going to hit enter to get rid of it, and that's just how the path thing works. We're going to, in further lessons, look at how we will use this to edit images. It's going to be a really handy panel for us. All right, let's get back to the pen tool. If I create a new path by making a first anchor point and a second one, I can go on that and just keep adding until I am satisfied. Maybe curve it a bit, can work with the handles. We're adding because there's a plus next to our pen tool. If I want to delete an anchor point, right click, delete anchor point, we have a minus. It will just delete those anchor points for us. But you could also delete, let me just add some. You can just delete by going on that point. Let me go on this, hit backspace on your keyboard, and it's gone. And if you want to add, it's already there. You can see the plus next to our pen tool, but the thing about this is that you don't have the handles, that you would just have to make a regular curve. Okay, that's how the curve things, the anchor point add or delete one works.